speak anything on that, actually. But we have to try. Let's connect this. All right. So, before we go any further, well, maybe Craig, just to catch you up, we're reading the Bhagavatam, obviously. We're in the 15th chapter, and Yudhishthir has heard everything that he needed to hear from Arjuna about Krishna being gone, and he knew immediately what to do was to pick up and leave. And then we talked a lot about how the phase of life, any respectable person, they detach from family activities, and they won't stick into family life till the very end. That they really actively detach and see the value in pursuing a life more conducive to purely offering oneself to the Lord. So now they're all doing that right now. All the Pandavas are doing that. Kunti's done it now. Yudhishthir, Arjuna, and all the Pandavas have done it. And now the rest of the crew everyone's going to have this realization today. So that's where we are. Before we go any further, whenever I say that, I just think of the Meatloaf song. Before we go any further, do you love? Craig would recognize these guys are too young. Well, parts from India, so it's just not his culture. But Madhav, you're way too young for that. But I just think of Meatloaf whenever I say before we go any further. Yeah, horrible samskara that is. So anyway, I need one of you actually to scroll so we can all chant this together. So there you go. All right. So ready?
Mirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaisnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghuna Tanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Padaya Krishna Krishna Bhutale Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Namaste Nirvisesha Shunyavadi
First of all, I'd like to offer my respects onto my Diksha Guru, Sri Shami Krishu, for pulling me out of a dark well of ignorant life and continuing to nourish me to stay out of such a dark well of life. I'd like to offer my obeisances unto my Shiksha Gurus in my life, my mentors, those who have been helping me make spiritual advancement over the past few years and hopefully many more years to come. And then last, I'd like to offer my obeisances unto, of course, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, whose translation and purports we're reading, whose movement inaugurated this whole opportunity for the Western world to be able to practice Krishna consciousness. And then finally, I'd like to offer my obeisances unto all the Vaishnavas, past, present, and future, but especially the Vaishnavas with me live here today. Even live online if you wanted to join that way, but especially live with me here today. So Vanchakalpatarubhishya Kripasindhubhyo Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. You guys are just like desire trees. You fulfill the desires of everyone. And you're full of compassion for the fallen, conditioned souls. So, yes, you guys are very good. This is quality of Vaishnavas. So anyway, now we're going to, one of the compassionate things we can do for ourselves is to hear the Bhagavatam daily, and then especially hear the purports, Srila Prabhupada. So, the last verse we read, why were the Pandavas able to fully devote themselves? We talked a lot about yesterday what the prerequisites are for practicing bhakti. And the prerequisites for bhakti are what's called sukriti. Sukriti are pious activities, but especially pious activities towards devotees or the Supreme Lord. So the Pandavas, how did they build the sukriti? They were very dharmic. They did all, so this is why Prabhupada, he wanted to, he set the foundation of our Varnashram Dharma, because if people don't even at least get Dharma down, then there's no chance that they're going to be able to do anything that's pleasing to the Vaishnavas, the devotees of the Lord, or the Lord himself. So, you can't be adharmic. That's why the 4 regulative principles are there. These are adharmic activities. Or for those who don't understand Sanskrit, these are irreligious activities or sinful activities. So if we are caught up in these sinful activities, then really we have no chance of serving the Lord. Now sometimes some mistake may be made or some hiccup or thing, folly, but if one is really receiving the Lord's mercy, you realize the error of your ways and you move forward from that thing. You no longer do this thing. But if this lack of sincerity is there in the person, then they'll continue. They'll continue on doing these adharmic activities. But the Pandavas, on the other hand, they were very, very dharmic. So like Yudhishthira, he left and devoted himself wholly and solely to bhakti, on meditation and devotion to the Lord. It says they all had performed all the principles of religion, and as a result, rightly decided that the lotus feet of the Lord, Sri Krishna, are the supreme goal of all. So this is the pinnacle of religion, actually. This is the pinnacle of what Dharma has to offer. I'm actually learning a verse by Raghunath Das Goswami, and it's, let me see it on the spot, I don't know if I could remember it. But it goes, Nadarmang Shruti Gana Niruktam Kila Kuru. Is that all I got? Vraje Radha Krishna Prachura Parichaya Miha Tanu. So, in relation to this, it's saying Nadarmam and Nadarmam. So, na is don't, not. Dharma, so na to Dharma, no Dharma, nor adharma. Na Dharma is nor to adharma. Shruti Ganani Ruktam, that which is mentioned in the Vedas, Kila Kuru, is saying, indeed, don't perform those things, actually. Why? Because he's actually on another level. And so he's saying, Vrajay Radha Krishna Prachura Parichaya Mihatanu. So in Vraj, to Radha and Krishna, Prachura is like with intensity. Parichayam, perform service. Iha, there or here. Tanu, it means to perform. He's saying this is actually the better activity. But in order to do that, you better believe actually that first the dharmic activities had to be performed. In order to get to that platform, you're not going to be attracted to that platform at all if you didn't graduate. It's like, trying to practice calculus without knowing basic addition and subtraction. So this is what dharma, adharma, even dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. This is all basics of life, and if you don't practice them, or if you've never practiced them before, it's likely you'll have to practice them for some time before you're ready to do any deep devotional practices. But at some point you actually have to be willing, unlike addition and subtraction, at some point you have to be willing to give them up as well, which is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. So like this. But because they practice all the principles of religion, they realized the highest goal. They realized everything, that the Supreme Lord is the essence of all things, and that there's no other better activity, no other process than devoting one's time, life, energy, everything they have to Him. And so they've done. And that's where we are. This is the pure consciousness. Tadhyano driktaya bhaktya Vishuddhadishana pade Tasmin narayana pade Ekantamata yogatim Avapur durabhapangte Asadbir vishayatmabi Viduta kalmashastanam Virajainatmanaivahi Tat, that, dhyana, positive meditation, utriktaya, being freed from, bhaktya, by a devotional attitude, vishuddha, purified, dishana, by intelligence, pare, unto the transcendence, tasmin, in that, Narayana, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, pade, unto the lotus feet, ekanta matayaha, of those who are fixed in the Supreme, who is one, gatim, destination, avapu, attained, duravapam, very difficult to obtain, te, by them, asadbi, by the materialists, vishaya atmabi, absorbed in material needs, viduta, washed off, kalmasha, material contamination, sthanam, abode, virajena, without material passion, atmana, eva, by the self-same body, he certainly. Thus, by pure consciousness, due to constant devotional remembrance, they attained the spiritual sky which is ruled over by the Supreme Narayan, Lord Krishna. So this is, Narayan is the, I think ayan is to lie down and nara on the water, is that right? Yes. So this is the one who is creating, this is the opulent manifestation of the Lord. And He's creating all of existence actually through this form Narayan. So because we're in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, Narayan is the foundational Godhead, Lord in His opulent form, But in the conclusion of the Bhagavatam, there will be focused the Lord on His sweet form. And that's who Krishna is. But so as not to confuse us who don't understand the gradations of even the Lord, Prabhupada is lumping it all in one. Just like all the Western religions, to say God. They don't have any distinction of different aspects of God. Just God, the Almighty One, the All-Powerful One, the Omniscient One, Well,
they do have different names, like Jehovah.
Yeah. So many different names, but all on the opulent platform, No distinctions of form, personality, specific, type of relationships. That's kind of, maybe like, maybe servant to master, or child to son, or child to father, something like this. But no, nothing out of the realm of opulence. But in the Bhagavatam, actually, there's new realms which are opened up, or evidence given that are available, but in relationship between us, the soul, and God. But anyhow, that's not for the first canto. So this is attained only by those who meditate upon the one Supreme Lord without deviation. And this is the pure consciousness due to constant devotional remembrance. They attain the spiritual sky, or the Vaikuntha realm, the realm beyond all anxiety. So only those who meditate upon the one Supreme Lord without deviation, Ananya Bhakti, or they say Ekanta Matayaha, those who are fixed in the Supreme, one-pointed. This abode of the Lord Sri Krishna, known as Goloka Vrindavan, cannot be attained by persons who are absorbed in the material conception of life. Even though Goloka Vrindavan isn't necessarily mentioned here, because Prabhupada knows the final conclusions of the Bhagavatam, this is actually what's being referred to. But cannot be attained by persons who are absorbed in the material conception of life. But the Pandavas, being completely washed of all material contamination, attain that abode in their very same bodies. So anyone who has a material conception of life, thinking, I am this body, I am all these upadis or designations, I am a male, I am even anything having to do with varnashram, I'm a businessman, I'm this person, I am a father, I'm a husband, I'm a wife, I'm this, that, and the other. Any type of material conceptions or material of life, this type of destination cannot be attained by one. So this is why it's very important to practice sadhana, because sadhana is literally, the goal is to achieve relationship with the Lord. But the sadhana is a practice in which we are ultimately working towards that goal. So if we want to be with the Supreme Lord and one-pointedly meditating on the Supreme Lord and achieve the spiritual destination, we have to do a practice to do that. We can't just say, all right, I did good enough and hopefully when I die, I'll get blasted off there. No. What is your conception right now? It's an evolution of consciousness. It's not that your consciousness, if your consciousness is incomplete, that you will just be transferred to complete consciousness. You have to evolve to complete consciousness, and that's what sadhana bhakti is. Every day you're chanting the names of the Lord with the hopes that He recognize you and reveal Himself further to you. But that's where is your consciousness at? The consciousness, it's such a battle every day. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. But they're like, oh my God, this thing, the money thing, or did you see what happened in the news? Charlie Kirk just got shot. This thing and the other thing, and the next thing you know, you want to see all the material or worldly things. You get absorbed in these things. Maybe this girl texted me, or this thing, that thing, the other thing. Whatever is the material conception that's plaguing us. So we have to do a sadhana. Sadhana is a practice. Okay, no, this is nonsense. This will never give me any good result. I have to, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I'm going to steady my mind back, and you keep trying again. Deity worship. Oh my God, I don't want to get up early again, but it's the rule. I should do it. All these things, I know it's this, and you start engaging in all these activities in sadhana. These aren't, the way I'm twirling my incense stick in the morning or opening the deities and chanting the mantras. It's really not with a full perfection. There's so much, I'm having to almost force myself to do it every day. But actually, this is a practice where if I get used to it eventually, and if I become fixed on it, eventually what happens is a taste develops. And then you really don't want to miss Mangalarti. You really don't want to miss chanting a certain amount of rounds every day. You really don't want to miss reading a certain amount, immersing yourself in the conceptions of the acharyas, immersing yourself in the conceptions of the Supreme Lord. You don't want to miss these things because a taste is developing. But in the beginning, you kind of have to mechanically force yourself. So what? So why? So that you can actually have this pure consciousness one day where you want to fully immerse yourself in the Lord. Even, any intelligent person, they realize this is the best type of thing that could happen. Any type of material thing is bound to be lost, and it can't give me lasting happiness. But we see the evidence of great saints and messiahs and prophets and, the Lord's instructions Himself that this world beyond this world, or this conception beyond this material conception, this is the desirable conception where all peace, happiness, love can be achieved. We might know that intellectually, but we have to do some practice. So this is why we do everything we do every day. This is why Prabhupada has given this practice, the basics of spiritual life. Don't do the sinful activities. one, and then two. Chant these holy names. Take time every day. Give time every day to all right, I'm going to call out to you, Krishna, today. Here's my time. And you can increase that time over time, but Prabhupada said at least do 16. At least do 16. This is our recommendation. And he also said, read my books. Read my books. So this is our program every day. Don't sin. Don't sin. Chant 16 rounds and read Prabhupada's books. Everyone can do that. Everybody. Who cannot do? But maybe you're not, maybe it's not easy to start there. No problem. But Krishna Kripa Prabhu, when he was here, I like what he was saying. Is that we had, a bunch of guests, but they're very much immersed in their work life, their career life, their college life, and in their families, their families' expectations of them, and so on. So they don't really have so much devotion really cultivated yet. They're still very worried about all these things. But Krishna, he was realizing that, and they're asking many questions to him, and so he's just. But everyone, you could just chant one mantra. Just one mantra a day. Everyone can chant one mantra. But the idea is that everybody can do something, and then eventually everyone can do a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. So yeah, maybe right now you're chanting one round. Maybe you can chant 2 rounds eventually. Maybe you're chanting 16. Maybe you can chant 18. Maybe you're chanting 20. Maybe you can chant 30 one day. Maybe you're chanting over 30. Maybe you can chant 64 one day. Maybe. But the idea is that the consciousness is fully fixed on the Lord. One of the things that we can appreciate about this recent kind of tragedy, at least I've personally seen, is that it's actually what it's done. I don't know if that was the intention of the tragedy, but it's revitalized. I'm seeing more people posting about God, at least in American culture. I'm seeing more people posting about God than they ever were before. Well, at least, if you're watching the charts of God on the feed in social media, up and down, and boom, Charlie Kirk gets assassinated, and God's going up through the roof right now, which is very good. This is very good.
Well, he was very much about Jesus and a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, that was his thing, and maybe he started. I know he started questioning the wrong things, and not the wrong things, but he started saying things about people in power that probably on both sides of the spectrum that I don't want to say he shouldn't have been saying, because everything happens for a reason, but he was poking a fire-breathing dragon. Yeah. He was poking a fire-breathing dragon, and it was in the best interests of some very powerful people that he leave, and so he's left. So that's the case. But anyway, the good news is people are talking about God. People, and we're not sectarian. We don't say, oh no, they have to accept Krishna. No, if they accept Jesus and they, really, live a life more devoted to Jesus, that's amazing. That is.
When there was, when Prabhupada was around, there'd be like articles blaspheming the devotees. And all Prabhupada said, well, how many times do they say Krishna?
Yeah, this is very good actually. Even if anyone's talking about Krishna, anyone's talking about God, even negatively, it's good. But we are in the process of anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karma dhyanabratam anukulyena Krishna shilanam bhakti utama. Anukulyena means favorable. People. The ideal is we should favorably look towards God and try and also encourage others to favorably look towards God. But at least recently, just 3 days ago now, people are favorably looking towards God. People I would not expect, actually. People I'm looking on my feed, people I'm not expecting. But just to whatever devotion this Charlie Kirk had, by him leaving this world, it spored a revitalization, an anger in people, and in a going back towards God, which is actually very good, which is why Kali Yuga it takes place the way it does, because it gets so disturbing that it turns people towards God. So actually, very good. I'm sorry that happened. I feel bad for his family and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's wonderful that the result of that, and I think he would be very happy that the result of his death was that people are turning more towards God. And actually, that's wonderful. That's a wonderful service that he's done. But the Pandavas also are turning, not also, they are absolutely turning towards God right now. And so let's read Prabhupada's purport. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, a person freed from the three modes of material qualities, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance, and situated in transcendence, can reach the highest perfection of life without change of body. Srila Sanatana Goswami in his Hari Bhakti Vilas says that a person, whatever he may be, can attain the perfection of a twice-born Brahmin by undergoing the spiritual disciplinary actions under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, exactly as a chemist can turn gunmetal into gold by chemical manipulation. It's amazing because this is also one of the fruits of sadhana. You can achieve perfection in the self-same body. You don't have to wait. Actually, the process is not waiting. You can achieve a level of perfection right here, right now. And whatever crappy thing that was given to you, because our bodies are not perfect, through a bona fide spiritual master, just like a chemist can take, gunmetal and turn it into gold. They're seeing this now, the Hadron Collider. They're able to do things now with the Hadron Collider where they can, micro levels of lead, they're turning to gold. They're able to do this scientifically. So the same way a bona fide spiritual master can take whatever crappy qualities that we have and are and transform us. So this is the process. So it is therefore, you see the Pandavas in their life, they were always serving high quality Vaishnavas, including Bhishma, Mahajans like Bhishma and Narad, and met so many sages in the forest, and Lomasha Rishi, and so many Vyas and so Veda Vyas, and so many top level spiritual masters, and allowed themselves to be transformed under their guidance. So they were perfect. It is therefore the actual guidance that matters in the process of becoming a Brahmin, even without change of body, or in going back to Godhead without change of body. So this is actually the process. Guidance. Where are you getting guidance in your life? This is actually part of our main sadhana. Should also be in seeking guidance. We're doing so much Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, but we can't overcome so many obstacles in the mind to keep chanting and keep practicing. But guidance, I personally had this experience. I was just feeling a little down in my sadhana, I sent some messages out to some Shiksha gurus I have who maybe might be able to help me with certain aspects of my sadhana. Everyone's very busy, so I didn't get it for some time. But the day before Janmashtami, I received a call, and it wasn't supposed to be an hour. They weren't planning to be on the phone with an hour, but just back and forth for an hour, and telling them my issues, and even managing what we're managing here, and keeping going spiritually, and my family duties, and all these things, how to manage. But just to get the guidance of an exalted soul, just completely redirected me, and purified, the situation I was going through. So this is the key to going back to Godhead, Prabhupada is saying. It's the actual guidance that we receive. Which is why also, it's very controversial to say, but there's a flaw with, some people's understanding of Guru, many people's understanding. This is very prevalent in ISKCON, where they think Guru, okay, I got initiated by a self-realized, perfect soul under his auspices. Everything I do is perfect. Yes, on one level that's absolutely true. But on another level, you have to continue seeking guidance. It's not like, I got initiated by Prabhupada, so that's enough. Now I can I need no more guidance from there. Prabhupada initiated me. Perfect. Actually, the process is to still seek guidance. For instance, Srinivasacharya, Narottam Das, Narottam Das Thakur, and Shamananda Pandit. They all had self-realized Diksha gurus. Gopal Bhatta Goswami was Srinivasacharya's guru. Then he's one of the six Goswamis. He's a perfect realized being. Hridaya Chaitanya was an associate of Lord Chaitanya, and Shamananda Pandit's guru. And then you have Lokanath Goswami is Narottam Das Thakur's guru. Another associate of Lord Chaitanya, perfected high-class gurus. But still, they each sent them, because they're so high-class, they sent them to Jiva Goswami to take further Shiksha instructions, to get some of the more confidential realizations. And they willingly took, but this is actually the process. So you in your life, you cannot necessarily think, well, I've taken initiation. I've reached perfection now. My guru is perfect, so therefore, I'll just keep practicing. He gave me a few instructions. I'll just follow those instructions throughout my life. Everything will just be perfect in just that. So much perfection is in that. But there's more. You have to keep seeking guidance. If that guru, a perfected guru, is still available, then you take guidance from them. And and if other great sadhus also come into path and can help guide you, you take wherever Krishna Bhakti Ras is. See, there's a verse. Actually, the foundation of ISKCON is based on this verse. It's Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Yadi Kutopi Labhyate Tatraloyam Api Mulyam Ekalam Janma Koti Sukriti Na Labdyate. And what's the verse mean? Is wherever you see Krishna Bhakti Ras, you should immediately go and purchase. The association. You should purchase. See if you can go purchase that bhakti from that person. Go under them, serve them, hear from them, like that. And such a person, the only price is greed, actually. But you could do pious activities, or Sukriti, you could do pious activities even to the Vaishnavas for millions upon millions of births, but you'll never get Krishna Bhakti Ras unless you find someone who has it and you go and try and purchase it from them. This is actually how you get this high-level thing. So actually, this is what Prabhupada is saying here. The actual guidance, that's what matters. Yes?
Do you feel that maybe that not maintaining that, going to some sort of guru or something, even after Prabhupada left, is the result of certain fall downs?
I mean, absolutely.
That was my feeling, because I witnessed it.
Yes.
In several cases.
Absolutely.
That's kind of what I felt.
I mean, it's obvious. Anyone who's...
Including myself, not that I was at any level to follow, really, but, that it kind of went away, and.
Yeah, I mean, very controversial to say. I mean, I hope not the wrong person is watching, but because we're live. But actually, that's absolutely what happened. And on top of that, there were many devotees who continued getting guidance after Prabhupada left, and Prabhupada gave a few authorized sources that they could get guidance from. But those who carried on as the new gurus after Prabhupada left for the institution, for whatever reason, those sources of guidance became banned from the majority of the ISKCON practitioners. So it's very sad, actually. But those who went and got guidance, they benefited greatly, because that's the process that Prabhupada's talking about. But due to the immaturity of the situation, some people were very intoxicated with the new position and power that they got to receive. And then others, due to their lack of understanding, were, and in their own devotional immaturity, there happened to be a cheater and cheated scenario.
You're
And
not trying to find fault or anything.
No,
just
it's-
trying to observe,
yeah.
The correct.
Well, you should observe the correct process, and you say, I try to follow the correct process. And you could understand that, okay, that's not the ideal process. What happened? You don't necessarily have to find fault. You don't have to criticize. You don't have to...
They do have to discriminate.
Yeah, but you have to discriminate. You have to also understand, what is the process? And you understand the process, and then you follow those who are following the process. So this is very important. But at the same time, we should, we ourselves, just worrying about ourselves, I should follow the process. Am I getting guidance? The process is to get guidance. To go back to Godhead, Prabhupada's saying it's the guidance, the actual guidance that matters. You have to get guidance. We see this all the time. I mean, for instance, Uddhava. Uddhava was, he was a disciple of Brahaspati. Brahaspati is the guru of the demigods. Very, very great, Brahaspati. Wow, great guru. But Krishna sent him to Vrindavan to take further guidance. And he then he prayed to be the dust at the feet of the residents of Vrindavan because they were such great gurus. So this isn't our process to just, all right, well, I'm connected to one guru. And, you should always have such honor and reverence and connection. I mean, we're coming in the lineage of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is not my direct Diksha guru, but due to what Srila Prabhupada has given and the magnitude of what he's given, and even what's been taught by my gurus is to offer him such reverence. But we should offer such reverence to all of our Param gurus. But at the same time, we should continue seeking guidance. One day my Diksha guru will leave, and if I just say, oh, that's enough, my Diksha guru gave me 40 instructions or whatever, how many instructions in your life, and then that's enough. A certain level of perfection can be there in following. But even better if someone also in the lineage of your Diksha guru is able to give you refined guidance, you should take. Then this is evidenced in the Bhagavatam from Uddhava. This is evidenced in the Bhagavatam so often. Whenever a great sadhu is met, they follow the instructions of the sadhu. That's the path. So anyhow, very important. The guidance is there in order to elevate. It's not a self-elevation process. This is actually in the first three processes of bhakti, the first three processes of yoga given in the Bhagavad Gita. These are self-elevation processes. But Krishna doesn't recommend a self-elevation process. He recommends a process due to grace and mercy, and that's bhakti. So pretty much working on your own program and expecting to get very far, just, all right, I'll work on my own program. I got a few instructions. I took Diksha, this, that, and that. But then at the end of the day, it's just between you and whatever connection you've cultivated or has been revealed to you via the heart. That will get you to a certain level. Just like all the paths of the Bhagavad Gita, they get you to a certain level, but only in bhakti can you really... And bhakti is given by grace, meaning by the guidance of elevated sadhus, that will lift you to the next levels of bhakti. By Uddhava seeing the residents of Vrindavan, he couldn't even fathom. As far as he knew, he was the topmost devotee in the world. He had such a deep relationship with Krishna, as far as Uddhava knew. But when he actually saw the land of those who are the topmost, Vrindavan, he realized he just wanted to be a grain of sand at their feet, because he's nothing in comparison to them. So we should realize, we should when we start to study all these literatures and follow the instructions of our gurus, like, our gurus are saying chant 16 rounds, read Srila Prabhupada's books, do these processes of bhakti, Harinam Sankirtan, Nam Sankirtan, Bhagavat Shravan, Archana, Vigraha worship, Dham Seva, and Sadhu Sangha. By doing these things, eventually it may get revealed that there's a whole new realm that's open up to you. Maybe you should hop in the new realm and see how you can get further guidance. So this is what Uddhav did. So we have to, we also have to. Now let's see if we can just finish this here. A lot of talking today, I'm sorry. So, it's the actual guidance that matters in the process of becoming a Brahmin, even without change of body, or in going back to Godhead without change of body. Srila Jiva Goswami remarks that the word he, used in this connection, positively affirms this truth. There is no doubt about this factual position. The Bhagavad Gita 14.26 also affirms this statement of Srila Jiva Goswami, when the Lord says that anyone who executes devotional service systematically without deviation can attain the perfection of Brahman, by surpassing the contamination of the three modes of material nature. And when the Brahman perfection is still more advanced by the self-same execution of devotional service, there is no doubt at all that one can attain the supreme spiritual planet, Goloka Vrindavan, without change of body, as we have already discussed in connection with the Lord's returning to his abode without change of body. So, in this body, perfection can be received. And if you practice systematically devotional service under guidance, you can be successful. So this is our indication. This is what we have to do. Okay, what is my instructions? Am I following my instructions? And okay, some problems arise. I can't do these things very nicely. So check in, get guidance. How do I overcome this issue? How do I overcome this issue? And so on. And this is for myself too. It's not like, all right, well, this is for you guys. You guys need guidance, but not me. No. Everyone needs guidance. And then even those who have made significant advancement in this life, they often have their sources of guidance. Many have their sources of guidance. Like I was looking for lectures of Radha Govinda Maharaj on YouTube. I heard so many good things about him. He's Amarendra Prabhu's guru. He's said to be a pure devotee. So many people are glorifying. So let me hear. He doesn't really give much English. There's not much out there for him in English. But what I ended up finding instead was my Diksha Guru, Shami Krishi, was giving a glorification for his Vyas Puja at the temple. So I said, let me watch this. And it was so nice to hear him glorify Radha Govinda Maharaj and say how he considers him his Shiksha Guru. And I was very, very charmed. I was very charmed by this, by this. And because Shami Krishi Maharaj, he's leading by example with the humility of a Vaishnav has, where he doesn't think, I'm a guru now, so I don't have any, I don't have any sources of guidance, or I don't have anything in my life. No, but he leads by example and shows that, no, this devotee he's so senior and he's so elevated, and that I've learned so much from him. I consider him my Shiksha Guru. So this is, this is the process, actually. Always taking guidance, and
serving the servant of the servant.
Yeah, actually imbibing the mood of being the servant of the servant. Das anudas anudas. But das anudas. So this is our mood. But sometimes, due to the material qualities of goodness, passion, and ignorance, we could develop what's called the Guru Abhiman. Is I'm the guru, or I'm the ashram leader. I don't need guidance. I'm the leader, and you guys follow me. If this happens, then you won't get very far with such a person. So anyhow, You should discriminate. If you see that arise, you should discriminate. I should try to find guidance from someone who's beyond this thing. If you could recognize it. Anyhow, the Bhagavad Gita also, I know I said that.
You finished?
Yes. So maybe we only did one verse, 2 verses technically. Let's do one more. Viduropi parityajya prabhase deham atmana Krishna veshena tachchitaha Pitrabi svakshayang yayo. Vidura, the uncle of Maharaj Yudhishthira. Api, also, parityajya, after quitting the body, prabhas, in the place of pilgrimage at Prabhas, deham atmanaha, his body, Krishna, the personality of Godhead, aveshena, being absorbed in that thought, tat, his, chitta, thoughts and actions, pitrabi, along with the residents of Pitraloka, swakshayam, his own abode, yayo, departed. So, Vidura, while on pilgrimage, left his body at Prabhas. That's where Krishna left the world, in the Yadus. Because he was absorbed in thought of Lord Krishna. He was received by the denizens of Pitraloka, where he returned to his original post. Pitraloka is like the forefathers, the planet of the ancestors. So the difference between the Pandavas and Vidura is that the Pandavas are eternal associates of the Lord, personality of Godhead, whereas Vidura is one of the administrative demigods in charge of the Pitraloka planet and is known as Yamaraj. So he went back to his service, actually. He got cursed to be in a Shudra's body in this lifetime, and that was Vidura. This is Yamaraj. So anyway, but Vidura is also a great enlightened soul. He's one of the Mahajans, actually. But men are afraid of Yamaraj because it is he only who awards punishment to the miscreants in the material world. But those who are devotees of the Lord have nothing to fear from him. To the devotees, he is a cordial friend, but to the non-devotees, he is fear personified. As we have already discussed, it is understood that Yamaraj was cursed by Manduka Muni to be degraded as a Shudra, and therefore Vidura was an incarnation of Yamaraj. So, there's a couple of descriptions of what hell is like. So, in the Christian understanding that the great evil being Satan, he resides over hell and he's just there torturing everybody who also, like him, turned away from God and have fallen into this eternal position. But the Vedic conception of hell is different, and even of heaven is different. There's material heaven and hell. Hell is only a material place, but even there's a material heaven too, where if you do pious, good activities in this world, you can get lavish type of godly life, but it's temporary. So you'll have to come back down after you've spent, like when you go on vacation, after you spend all your money, you have to leave your suite or your hotel that you rented out. So similarly, after you've earned a certain amount of material piety, you'll get a certain level of heavenly opulence. But for those who are more than, and then for hell, for those who do sinful activities, you have however much bad credit or bad debt you've accrued, you have to pay it back, in hell for some time. So, but the one who's orchestrating all that is Yamaraj, or he's the Lord of Death. And he's, he's actually a pious, just demigod, and who's giving everyone exactly what they need to understand the error of their ways, and so that they can go forward with a clean slate. So some people like Hitler, or let's say, I don't know anything, but, let's say every single historical account presented by the mainstream media is correct, and then Hitler did kill 12,000 Jews and things like that. If that's the case, surely he's got to pay for 12,000 Jews killing. Whatever that result is, you have to pay. And so Yamaraj is orchestrating the system in which people go. Just like there's someone who's orchestrating the prison terms. You go and see the judge. The judge says, oh, you did this crime. Oh, you did this crime. Maybe there's a special circumstance here. Maybe this person worshiped God a certain amount. Or maybe, okay, for this, depending on the circumstance here, here's the judgment. So Yamaraj is like the ultimate judge. So it's a little bit different, you could say like the role of the one residing in over hell. It's a pious judge, just like somebody who's residing over the prison system of this country. It doesn't make them a bad person. They're an honorable citizen. Oh yes, we manage the prison systems. They walk freely. They're good people. They might pay their taxes. They do good things. And so on. And we could reciprocate with them. So similarly, the Yamaraj is a pious. He's a devotee, actually. He's a Mahajan. He's a great personality.
The warden of hell.
He's the warden of hell. But he's not hellish. He just happens to be the warden. So like this, this is how it is in the Vedic conception. But anyhow, the Christian conception is a little newer conception, and maybe you could say there's less evidence of situations where these things are really described in great detail.
But don't the Christians consider the devil to be actually a separate entity from God himself?
Yeah. They somehow or other they think the all-powerful, omniscient being can somehow be challenged by anybody. So obviously, if you believe God is infinite and all-loving and merciful and all-powerful, he must have created the devil for some purpose, But that is kind of overlooked because it's just a newer philosophy, and there's not much. How to say without being offensive? There's just not much critical thought really in understanding the theology. It's just a little bit of an.
The devil or Satan is a fallen angel.
Yeah, that's the thought, But how could an angel turn against God? How can he still be empowered? How can he, challenge God? God must have a purpose for him, obviously, right? But in the Christian thought, that next step hasn't been understood, because it's just a little bit of a. And it's nothing against Jesus, because Jesus wasn't teaching modern Christian thought. He was presenting the essence of spiritual life and essence of teachings for people to follow. But then the modern theologians and historians, they collected what they understood of Jesus, collected what they understood of the whole Judeo-Christian, and they pieced together a new religion, which they term Christianity. And it's good, actually. Anyone who follows Christianity will get I think a very blessed result. I mean, look at this Charlie Kirk fellow. He was an ardent follower of Christianity as he knew it. And even though, he left this world, I can assure, and you could just see, look at all the public response, people praying for him and people coming together in solidarity and going closer to God. Yeah, he must have achieved some merit in his practice. He must have. But at the same time, am I going to, personally studying all of the spiritual traditions, not all of them, but you could say more than just that spiritual tradition, from what I know now of the Vedic conception, would I ever see Christianity for myself as perfection? No, because I hear about the great devotees of Krishna mentioned in the Bhagavatam. I hear about these other different relationships. It's just like when you eat tasty food, like I grew up Italian, and so I always had good pasta in my life, It's just part of the Italian culture. So my mother never let me buy SpaghettiOs at the store because she was insulted that we would eat such degraded pasta, because we have the real thing. We have good pasta. We're Italian. But somebody who doesn't know any better, they never had Italian pasta, they might eat SpaghettiOs and be, yeah, this is pretty good, SpaghettiOs. But then if they taste the real good Italian pasta, they say, oh my gosh, that's on another level. So similarly, when, certain levels of religion are really good, it's good. It's giving nourishment to people. It's healthy. It's drawing them closer to God. It's good. But when you taste the higher realms of God realization, you can't go back down. Oh no, I'm Italian. I'm used to such good pasta. So like that, when you get involved in Krishna consciousness, other religions just seem trivial, because actually the taste is not nearly as sweet. I couldn't go and follow the life that Charlie Kirk was, presenting because, they eat meat, they, focus on things that in our tradition would seem kind of silly or trivial, to focus on. So we can't naturally find the same pleasure in that, and we practice what we practice because it gives an even deeper amount of pleasure.
And they don't include everybody.
Yeah,
This is a big part
yeah,
of my issue.
yeah. But actually, Christ wasn't like that. Christ
I didn't
included
say he
it.
was, I'm saying
Yeah,
the
yeah.
individuals.
But I mean, you could argue, many practitioners, immature practitioners of Krishna consciousness, also don't include everybody. Not even people in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. There's sects of Gaudiya Vaishnavism that are banned from our institution for no bona fide Vedic reason at all, other than it was a threat to some people's position and power at some point. So it just has to do with immature religion versus mature religion. And just like, the mature mathematician, they know how to integrate addition, subtraction, multiplication, all of PEMDAS, and they can perform calculus and trigonometry and all these high-level mathematics. The mature religionist, they'll be able to take the teachings of Christ and the teachings of all the prophets and saints and sages and Mahajans and the Supreme Lord himself via this avatar and that avatar, and they'll be able to integrate everything and then apply it appropriately. And that's what the Bhagavatam is actually all about. But in our immature stage, we might become very sectarian and say, oh, well, the homosexuals, there's no place for them. And while, yes, our religion would also agree with the Christian sentiment that homosexual sex is an abominable activity. But we would also say heterosexual sex is an abominable activity. Because ultimately, sex outside of bearing children is based on the abominable understanding that I am this body and that the flesh and the pleasures of the flesh can give me happiness, which is ultimately, for the high-level spiritualist, it's an abominable understanding, because they taste the spiritual pleasure and they realize how base these lower pleasures are, like sex life. But because
different levels of illicit sex, but they're all illicit sex.
Exactly. So yeah, the homosexual illicit sex isn't that far off than illicit sex within marriage. It's still illicit sex, but it's still going to bar you from tasting the spiritual pleasure of having realization of God. But at the same time, homosexual sex usually done outside of marriage. There's no way to do it illicitly at all, whereas heterosexual sex, there's an opportunity to at least have sex life for the bearing of children and to potentially raise a spiritual child, which is the whole, this Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, he is this type of sex. That's the only type of sex. And like we see Madhav here, Madhav is a devotee of the Lord because in your life at one point you I think must have tried to the best of your ability to do this in a proper way. And Madhav is the result of this. And now Madhav's out here actually helping people in the world, or attempting to help people in the world. And this actually has brought you closer to God. Because now your son, who is practicing Krishna consciousness, has directly impacted you where you're getting closer to God. So this is the proof between licit sex versus illicit sex. This is the proof right here that some illicit sex has happened and it's brought you closer to Krishna. But illicit sex never can bring you closer to God, other than maybe punishing you for for all of the illicit. Illicit sex brings inauspiciousness. Actually, it's very interesting. I had somebody reach out to me yesterday. I was late for picking up Madhav because I had to kind of give like a 20-minute advice session for somebody who's just got into marriage and Krishna consciousness, and he had questions about where is there a gray line with illicit sex and things, and I just explained to him, my evolution through the process, and basically the essence is that illicit sex causes inauspiciousness in your life, and you have no real opportunity practicing it to advance to deeper stages of bhakti, which is why it's one of the regulative principles. But I was explaining there is licit sex. Do the licit sex, meaning once a month you can try for a child, and maybe you'll be successful, and you get a Krishna conscious child, and he might, he might actually, hopefully, bring me closer to Krishna one day, as is evidenced with Madhav, who you've seen practically in your life, that your child that you tried to have in Krishna consciousness to some degree has now brought you deeper into Krishna consciousness. So I'm hoping my child, also I've tried to bring in Krishna consciousness, will bring me deeper into Krishna consciousness. That's your responsibility. But, let's see. Maybe, maybe he'll bring me closer to Krishna consciousness in a different way by disturbing me so much that I just want to leave it all behind and go to whatever way it works, no problem. But licit sex brings one closer to Krishna. It is Krishna himself. And illicit sex, whether it's homosexual, heterosexual, intramarital, or outside of marriage, it will bring one away from Krishna. So
bottom line, we just want to keep moving forward.
Yeah, bottom line, keep moving forward, and you do activities that'll move you forward. Now, acharyas, they're giving sato vrite, they're giving the instructions of the example of activities and how to move forward. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I don't know how many kids. He had so many kids, like 8 or 9, 10 kids. He had 10 kids. 10 kids in Krishna consciousness. But he was very religious. He did it properly.
I think some of them actually were.
And it's very controversial to say whether it's Gaudiya Math or ISKCON or anyone. No one likes to talk about it. But it's evidence that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, at one point in his life, he must have eaten fish. He was from what would consider it a more, he wasn't also in Puri where it's even if you eat fish, this is like eating prasadam. But still, at one point he was eating flesh and able to advance so deeply. Many are saying, well, he was an eternal associate just performing leelas. I don't know if I necessarily subscribe yet. My faith isn't so staunch as of yet. But whatever it is, how much advancement, one could make. And he was a Grihastha. Prabhupada had kids. Grihastha. Narayan Maharaj even had a son. Grihastha first, before, I'm not sure about Jagannath Das Babaji. I know Gorakishore. I think even Gorakishore Das Babaji had a son. I'm pretty sure. The only one who I know didn't is Bhakti Siddhanta. But you can practice licit or dharmic activity, and it'll elevate you. But if you don't, then you have to, you have no chance of achieving this higher realm of, pure bhakti or pure service to the Lord. And then on top of that, you'll accumulate sinful activities, and you might have to visit Yamaraj and have him sort out your life choices. You had all kinds of, attraction to these base type of pleasures. Here, you like to embrace the female bodies of others? No problem. Here's a hot iron female body you can embrace. And how, they have all kinds of really elaborate.
Not you can do, you're forced to.
Yeah. I think I have to finish this, right? And then we're finished. And then we have to go. Well, everyone has many things to do today.
Yeah.
So.
I'll be tired, so that's fine.
Yes.
I
So, I know. I've got him. As an eternal servitor of the Lord, he displayed his devotional activities very ardently and lived a life of a pious man. So much so that a materialistic man like Dhritarashtra also got salvation by his instruction. So by his pious activities in the devotional service of the Lord, he was able to always remember the lotus feet of the Lord, and thus he became washed of all contamination of a Shudra-born life. At the end, he was again received by the denizens of Pitraloka and posted in his original position. The demigods are also associates of the Lord without personal touch, whereas the direct associates of the Lord are in constant personal touch with him. The Lord and his personal associates incarnate in many universes without cessation. The Lord remembers them all, whereas the associates forget due to their being very minute parts and parcels of the Lord. They are apt to forget such incidents, due to being infinitesimal. This is corroborated in the Bhagavad Gita 4.5. So the Lord remembers all births, but it's actually in our best interest, even if we're personal associates of Him, not to remember, because if we remember that He's God and the Supreme Lord, it will kind of spoil the relationship a little bit, you know. Whereas, you know, just like if you might meet someone and find out he's wildly rich or wildly famous or something, and you're having a nice conversation on the plane with him or something, and then you learn he's like a multi-billionaire or something, it might like tense up the relationship.
Arjuna's relation with Krishna, when he, in the battlefield, when he finally, because they were so friendly and intimate and stuff.
That's right.
And then he realized, you know,
His opulent form of the what is it, the Virat Rupa. Yeah, and so then he's like, I'm afraid of this form, and you know, he begged for him, please show me your two-handed form again. Yeah, the Vishwarup. Yeah, or Virat Rupa. It's all one of them, the universal form. So whatever, yeah, this is not our goal. So anyway, luckily the Lord makes us forget whether we're in relationship with Him or out of relationship with Him. Forgetfulness is part of the duty of at least the most of the living entities. There is a junction in between hellish materialistic life and Krishna Bhakti Ras life in the spiritual abode, where one can be like a sage or a saint like Narada Muni, and they can know of all the Lord's glories and things like that. But that's not the recommendation for the eternal prospect, is to eventually get to the platform, maybe somehow, of the Lord's confidential servant in Vrindavan, and if that's the case, then there's all kinds of forgetfulness. Krishna himself will forget who he is, because he's so enraptured in all the divine activities. So anyway, Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Thank you guys for hearing and studying Bhagavatam with me today. I'm very appreciative.